watching the Go Crying to Walk In podcast. I'm Chef Cholo, and you already know, as always, we're powered by Hospitality News Magazine and Hospitality News Magazine Online. If you're looking to have your finger on the pulse of everything hospitality, look no further. Today's guest is a local business owner in an area that I happen to have been living for the last 25 years, Setauket, Three Village area. He's got a long history in this industry of doing catering and a bunch of things from Queens all the way out here to Long Island. A few years back, he purchased our local bagel store, the Bagel Express. I'd like to introduce my brother, Dave Prestia. How you doing, my man?
Hey, how are you? Thanks for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
You got it, man. So this bagel, I'll tell you right now, like, I'm a psychopath when it comes to certain things. And, like, the bagel is a really important thing. So, I move out to Setauket, Three Village area. You start trying places. You go here, you go there. And the guy who owned that bagel store before you, like, had a weird reputation with people that lived in that neighborhood. Like, and it wasn't that he had a bad reputation that the food was bad or the bagel was bad. He was just kind of like a weird cat. And, like, people, like, he didn't help the PTAs. He didn't help the school. So, like, that's who you meet when you first move into town. You're like, oh, you meet the people in the school. They're like, oh, that bagel store. They don't want to do this. So, I guess I wasn't going in at first, but then one day I wandered in and I had the bagel and I was like, well, I don't really care whatever this guy's doing. I'm going to eat this bagel because it's awesome. And bagels, they're one of those things, like your bagel, brother, has been and I'm sure I'm not the only guy that does this, but it's been to the mountains of New Hampshire, to the beaches of Maine.
Absolutely,
People, like, they leave Long Island, they can't live right, So what made you, like, do that? You weren't a bagel guy, right?
You know what? Things always happen in life by accident. You look at things, you look at your trail in life, you rewind the tape and look back. And you say, well, how did I get into the bagel business? How did, Italian guy from Queens.
Exactly.
And I'm in the bagel business. I'm like, how did this happen?
I mean, Fratello's is like a pizza, Italian.
Italian. I grew up in an Italian, strictly huge Italian deli business.
Right.
With cheeses and sausages and sauces.
You grew up in, like, Queens?
And I grew up in Bayside, Queens.
Bayside,
and my father
Queens.
had a rockin' Italian deli. It was called M&S Deli. It was the Italian place. My friends used to call it the smelly deli, because when you went in there, the cheeses, you worked there for one day, you reeked.
Your clothes,
cheese.
everything.
Man, we used to call it provolone cologne, because when you walked out of the place, man, you just smelled like that cheese.
It's like Silvio. I put 2 provolone in my shoes.
Exactly. But that's the way it was. And then when we broke away from that, my brother ran that place, took that over from my dad. And we opened up Fratelli's.
Now, forgive me, is your brother a twin? No.
My brother's not a twin. He's 16 months older than me.
But you guys look a lot alike. Because, I have twin sons, and I always thought maybe you was twins.
And I know your boys.
They live in
there. You
there.
guys are always in the store and stuff. And we actually were 16 months apart, went to school together. We lived across the street from each other in Setauket for 30 years.
Wow.
Crazy stuff. And he's actually in the tire business, but he always helps us out with the bagel store when we have Fratelli's.
I definitely seen him around.
Oh,
yeah, for
he
sure.
Comes in, he runs right in, always rolls up sleeves, and
I see your son's in there with you now.
It's a family thing.
I love
my
it,
wife
man.
does the paperwork.
I love it.
My brother's wife will run in. Hey, we need this. Can you help us out? Whatever. It's
your son's a good boy. Does a great job in there.
Thank you.
Yeah, very
Good
polite, nice kid. Yeah, I could see he's enthusiastic. That's a thing you like about your bagel store. I always talk about staffing with people, and we were just talking about that a minute ago with Jonathan. And it's like, I could tell the people that work in your store, they're happy, and it shows. You know what I mean? Like, you'll walk into that store on a Sunday, and it's tense. It's high pressure.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And you're like a family because you're all working together for so many hours a week, and
You're
you're
on
all
top.
in tight quarters for a lot of hours.
You
whatever.
say family, that's exactly what I
And that's
call
what
it.
it is.
Man. That's exactly what I call it. And now you got 2 bagel locations, right?
So we actually had 3.
Oh, 3. Sayville,
so
too.
we had Sayville, we had Smithtown, and we had Setauket. And
These were all existing bagel places before you bought them, or you started some from scratch?
We started them from scratch.
Wow.
And we actually sold them off, and we just supplied them with the bagels.
With the bagel.
Just with the dough. Most bagel stores, people don't realize that, but I would say about 80% of the bagel stores now do not make the bagels on premises. They buy the formed dough that comes in on racks off of a truck.
Frozen.
Not frozen, fresh, and they keep them in their proofing box.
So
maybe some places might do it frozen also.
That little store of yours, you got bagels dough
going
out of there?
We're making the dough. We got a whole factory in the back.
Really?
So you got to check that out.
You do a lot in that square footage, brother.
We use every single square inch.
Wow.
As possible. But we used to buy, when I opened up Fratelli's in Astoria, our first place, we were on 29th Street and Broadway.
Wow.
Never knew that we were right between Kaufman Astoria Studios and Silver Cup Studios.
Wow.
And
making
all of a
movies
sudden,
all over.
We never knew.
Right.
It was by accident.
You didn't know what it was.
I had no idea. And then we started doing a couple little things with the Cosby Show.
Wow.
Back in the day when they were the hit show, whatever. We
Pudding's catering.
The green room. All kinds of little props they needed for the table, for the Huxtable table.
Did
whatever.
Bill ever ask you to get the liquid beverage first so he could adjust it? No, I don't want. Should we not go there?
That's for another day.
That'll be it for another day. I'm sorry.
That's for another day.
I'm sorry.
And then from there, we ended up doing Sex in the City at Silver Cup Studios, which I didn't even know it was there.
Well, you see the big sign when you're in traffic.
But I never knew that we were proximity. Right. I didn't know that food was so relevant in the production industry.
Right. Well, everybody's got to eat, brother.
So they're there all day, all night. They got feed the crew, and we actually did The Sopranos as well.
Wow.
So and it was so cool because the production assistant kept asking me, "Did you watch last night? Did you watch?" And the Sopranos was always on Sunday night.
Sunday night.
And it renewed Sundays because people hated Sunday nights until The Sopranos was on. Everybody was looking forward to it.
That was it. HBO made that deal with the network television.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they gave us, and she kept asking me, and then one night I'm watching the show, I almost jumped off my couch. They did a product shot with the Fratelli logo on.
Get out of here.
And he hands the container. Silvio hands the container to Tony Soprano.
Like in the back where they hung out in that room back there.
But he doesn't hide the label. He puts it right there. And says, "Hey, Tone, try the mozzarella, this and that."
Wow!
I jumped off my couch.
Freaking dream come true.
Right, and you can't believe how many people, a little 2-second blur,
seen it.
People seen it. People calling us, leaving messages. "Oh my God, I saw you on The Sopranos." So it was like
That's exciting, bro.
And the bagel thing came in because we started doing a lot of corporate catering out of the Astoria location. So I lived in Setauket. This guy had the best bagels at Bagel Express. He had the formula
best
down.
Bagel. I don't know why. It's the best bagel, man.
He had the best bagel.
And then I find out from you, this isn't even like a bagel in the kettle, which is like, you're told your whole life, if it's not from a kettle, it's not the best. Well, I'll tell you right now. Number one bagel, I mean, the best bagel. The sandwich that you get there, the egg sandwich, I'll tell you right now, number one egg sandwich on a bagel on Long Island, and I eat them everywhere. Maybe because it's big and you get a lot, but it's the best. The best.
And, well, we lucked out. And, I have a partner. His name is Eric Keller, who's very camera shy. But Eric and I have been together for over 30 years.
So he was in that bagel store? No, he was when you were at Fratelli's.
He actually started working at M&S Deli when he was 18 years old.
Your dad's deli.
He came to work for my dad.
Wow.
And we've been together all these years.
Now, when you opened up in Astoria, was it like a story of today? Like, was it, with restaurants and busy like that?
No, it was more of a neighborhood place where the older people were still there. And they did
wild in that town now, right?
Because we were a gourmet store. We were a gourmet store, and then we started doing catering.
Well, people would shop every day back then.
Exactly. And then, it evolved into what it is today, where it's, coffee shop and restaurant row on every corner. And we did great there with those bagels because we got a ton of breakfast catering because people wanted those big bagels. And
you were bringing that guy's bagel to your stores in Queens because that's where you lived in Setauket.
Absolutely, because people couldn't get a bagel like that. Once we did one breakfast, it snowballed.
Which is crazy
because we turned into a breakfast place. Here we are, Fratelli's Marketplace, this gourmet place.
Right.
And everybody's booking us for these breakfasts.
For the breakfast bagels.
Because they wanted those bagels. Those bagels were key. They were hit.
So we fast forward. This bagel guy, I drove by there one day, the sheriff had a lock on the door.
There you go. So the bagel guy was out.
He's done.
He was done.
It's like the movie, Carmine's not here. Carmine's gone.
He was done. He did a lot of things he shouldn't have been doing, and he was gone. So the landlord knew me from the neighborhood, like you were just saying, get involved in the neighborhood. And we had the Fratellis in Stony Brook Village.
Right.
So he knew me, and he said, "Listen, you want the place?
You're happy to get out of Stony Brook Village."
Yeah, so
You're happy to get out of there.
I was very happy to get out of there.
That's a wild situation.
That was a crazy situation.
Ooh.
But
That guy from Pentimento, I'm sure he'll tell you a story.
Yeah, I felt bad for him. Let me tell you.
The guy spent his whole life there, Dennis.
Good guy. You
They
know,
just anyway,
you got to realize,
they
the
pushed him out.
of food, whatever. This is your passion.
They pushed
But
him
not
out.
only that, but that's your life.
It's your whole life.
That's your livelihood.
It's your whole life.
That's your retirement. If you have this business that you build up this brand and whatever. I built 2 brands in my life. I built Fratelli's Marketplace and I built Bagel Express.
Bagel Express.
And it's the hardest thing to do. You got to have the passion. You got to have the people behind you.
But people got to realize, I don't want to cut you off, but people got to realize this is not just a bagel store either. I went through there on Thanksgiving. You were like, yeah, we had to stop taking orders 2 days ago.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
Thanksgiving turkey orders, not bagels, not breakfast, not lox,
And
turkey dinner.
And we kept
soup.
we kept the whole Fratelli thing going on in the bagel industry.
You
So
really,
we're doing all the
grabbed
catering.
it, yeah.
So like my wife says to me all the time, you don't understand something. You have 3 businesses going on there. You have your catering business going
It's
on.
the truth.
You got the bagel thing going on, and then you got the whole gourmet thing going on.
You
in the
still
front.
got the
So
you still got
you're running
Fratelli's
3
happening
things in
there.
one. And you know what? And one of the biggest things that people always tell me, what was the thing that got you guys on the map? What thing? Getting involved with people and having a smile on your face. And let people walk in the door and say, hey, these are my guys. This is my place. I can come in here and ask them for anything, and they're going to do it for me. And that's important. And giving back, like you said, Chef, the PTAs, the schools, every single function that's going on. Everybody has a charity, their favorite charity. And you know what? You got to give back to those people because they are the community. You want to be part of that community. That's
You
what
got
you
to
got
do
to
it right. I mean, it's a recipe. You read Danny Meyer's book. He'll tell you. You got to involve yourself in where you are.
Absolutely.
I mean, people have a lot of choices.
Absolutely. I'm on this podcast with you because you come in my place. You're
Yeah.
a nice guy. We always spoke over the counter, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew.
Always a gentleman, yeah.
I knew you.
Well, we met through Dominic.
Well, there you go.
So Dominic was like your landscaper.
Dominic was my landscaper in 1991. I bought my first house. He was the guy.
That's his story he likes
He
to
was
tell.
the
He
guy.
sold that company for a lot of money, didn't you, Dominic?
He was my guy.
Huh?
Dominic and I go way, way back.
Hey, it's your boy Chef Cholo from the Go Crying to Walk In podcast. And if you're like me, you yearn for that old school relationship between purveyors and chefs. Nowadays, they got me going on a website, looking up my own orders, placing my own orders. I don't even know if the thing's going to get delivered the next day. I got nobody to talk to. If you're looking for that old school service with aggressive pricing, look no further than American Food Connection. What you do is you call the number at the bottom of the screen, you ask for Danny, and you get it straight. You already know. So, how long you known Dominic?
So I know Dominic since 1991.
91. Dom, you like would pull up with your little truck and your lawnmower, or you were like one of those guys that had like all the lawnmowers?
He pulled up in his Ford 150 with his cut-off shirt on.
Tough guy.
Tough guy. Checking out the guys doing all the work. And he just, all right, guys, you're doing a good job.
Dom was a Guido.
And he would disappear. He
Dom
was
was a
good.
Guido. Yeah, he knows.
He was,
it.
big
He
time.
knows it. He can't help it.
Big time.
Can't help it. So, like I said, you can get I recently was in there, and I don't know why I didn't want to have a bagel. I don't know why I didn't want to have eggs. I was on your website. I got pancakes, eggs, hash browns, and bacon, I think. I took it home. It was better than any diner in our neighborhood. Any diner in that area. You making those pancakes from scratch?
Absolutely. We make the pancakes from scratch.
I don't know if you ever had the pancakes, Dominic, but you better try it.
Oh, thank you.
No shit, man. No shit.
I appreciate that. And you know what? We got a great crew. I have people who work so hard for me. And, we take care of them. You have to. They're part of your family, and you got to be there for them. We all work together. And guess what? They work hard for me every day, and it's important.
It's important because when a store's busy like yours, it's intimidating for a person. Oh, I got to go. Where do I
Exactly.
go? What do I do? Oh, the guy's over here. And when you go in there, your people are like, hey, how can I help you? Hey, what do you need? They got the pad out. They got the pen. They don't forget your order. You know what I mean? That's a lot to be
important.
said about that.
Yeah, and it's important. And it's important about making the customer feel welcome, even when you're that busy. Because we're crazy, you're in this all the time. It's a crazy busy store.
Always busy.
We're lucky, and I thankful, and I don't get cocky about that. I thank each and every customer. And I don't care what you buy in my store. You come into Bagel Express, I don't care if you buy one bagel or you buy 3 dozen bagels. Guess
Same
what?
service.
You're my customer.
Same service.
And you're the guy that, I appreciate because you're feeding my family, because you come into my place. And, that's the important thing, And, giving back to the community. And that's how we got involved with Stony Brook University. Because, like, I'm here at this podcast because of our relationship, because you come to my store.
Right.
Same thing I tell my employees all the time. You don't know who you're talking to over that counter.
It's true.
You don't know who that person is. And you don't know where they can bring us.
My son told me today, my son is in the master's program at Stony Brook. He wants to be a school teacher. He's like, and I told him, I said, "Oh, I'm going to do the podcast today with, Dave from our bagel store." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, I think they're involved with the school or something. I go, well, I don't know if they're in business with the school, but I think Dave understands the importance about being around your school and the amount of people that are going to come maybe get something to eat, at your college.
Yeah, and it's important, and just over the years, by being a small donor to the university, just getting involved very smallly. Then you know what? They having a meeting. They need a platter of wraps. Hey, can you do wraps for us? Yeah.
Right.
And just by one little thing leads to the next thing, and before you know it, you have a relationship. And we're one of the biggest sponsors of athletics at Stony Brook. We have a suite in the arena.
You have a suite in the arena.
And we run the Wolves Den.
What is that?
Which is a whole buffet, which is right before the game starts. So if you're going to go to a Stony Brook basketball game,
okay.
So now you get out of work, you got to get something to eat, you want to get to the game, whatever. You don't have to do that. You can just buy tickets to the Wolves Den, and you come down, and we have a full buffet right before the game, an hour before the game, so you can eat something.
And that's for basketball.
And that's for men's basketball.
Wow.
And then at halftime, we have another buffet that we put out, which is like all heroes and sandwiches and everything else. We do hot dogs, chicken fingers for the kids.
So this is not the concession stand. This is
No,
like
it's a
some
whole-
complimentary
it's
thing
called-
in the suite. You got to be like a VIP?
And this isn't the suite. This is down under the bleachers, and they call it the Wolves Den.
The Wolves
It's
Den.
in addition to
I can dig
the
it,
VIP
man.
suite.
You do the VIP suite.
You
also.
have to come over there and check it out.
I'm waiting for the invite, my brother. I'll be
have
there.
you.
Yeah,
Oh, you got it.
as long as I can wear
Absolutely.
my T-shirt. I put my stickers.
I wouldn't have
everywhere.
you without it.
Thank you. You do a lot of social media. You use social media in your.
We have a Facebook account. We have an Instagram account. Whatever. We're not as good on it as we should be.
Right.
We're on it, but
it really takes the right person. You know what I mean? And you're a busy store. What do you? You're going to get the girl. Maybe you have a young girl that understands it, that works, but you want her to cut bagels all day. You don't want her to sit there and make videos.
Exactly.
But it does come down to that. You know what I mean? Maybe you figure it out. You don't need any help advertising.
I like to take pictures when I'm at events, like community events and stuff, because
Yeah.
I'm with the Three Village Community Trust, which is like a land trust that preserves these old houses.
The old
in
houses.
Setauket. So to
And
me,
those are the people. I'm sorry, those are the people that run like that candlelight tour.
well, that's the Historic Society. So they
Right.
do the social land, and the land trust does the preserving the real estate land.
Okay.
But it's all different things that you get involved that preserves your community. And
Yeah.
people see that you give back and you're involved in those things. They really appreciate
It's a
that because
recipe
they
for
know
success,
that
let's face it.
you give a crap about them and the community and not just about your business. And what's great about it is I live in the area. So it's great to be involved, and you're giving back to the people that are feeding you because they're coming into your business.
And you get to see some local celebrities when you're
Yeah,
over
like
there, right?
Dominic.
Dee Schneider. I see in there,
Dee
right?
Schneider, before he moved to California, he used to be in there.
He used to always be in there, yeah.
Every weekend.
Hard to miss that cat.
He was there every weekend. We
And
had
then, we got a lot of guys from that area.
yeah,
Kevin James.
We had Ralph Macchio.
Ralph Macchio. Yeah, Karate Kid.
The Karate Kid, man.
And
I had him in my
the
place.
psycho wrestler, what's his name? Cactus Jack. Does he come around? He's from Three
he comes
Village.
in. We have him up on our wall.
You have
too,
him on the
our wall
wall,
of
right?
fame,
And the
yeah.
baseball player, what's the baseball kid's name?
I have Steven
Matt,
Matz.
Steven
I got
Matz.
Matz on it.
I saw you got him.
I had
in
that
there.
kid Jankowski, who was the center fielder for the Padres.
Oh, really?
He was a center fielder at Stony Brook.
Oh, he played at Stony Brook.
Yeah, and he sent me a signed jersey when he got his major league contract, and then he was with the Mets. And
we got local heroes like Dominic, Charlene Vitale. I know she goes in there. Her and Mike.
Charlene is the Energizer Bunny. She's involved in everything in the community.
Well, let me tell you right now,
wonderful people.
My son was an Eagle Scout in our local, our local Boy Scout troop in Setauket. And without her help, he would have never got through it. And not him. Yeah. Every kid, and both her sons were Eagle Scouts. And I known her husband Mike since the Brooklyn Brewery days.
He's the great guy.
The guy is like an awesome guy.
He helped build that brand to what it is today.
So,
big time.
I mean, that's what that place is like, and that's what I think you've created there. So I mean, I think it's like Cheers without the booze.
Exactly. And you know what? I have a nephew who's autistic. And he actually works in my store. He has a shadow through a state program, whatever. And he stocks shelves and whatever. And it's great. And Charlene and Mike Vitale with the Boy Scouts, you know what? They did so much for this kid to get him through.
Oh, he was in the scouting program?
He was in the scouting program.
A local program?
Absolutely.
I mean, I'm a big proponent of that.
And it was like the biggest thing in the world. It was like the nicest thing that was able to participate.
That's really cool.
And be with all the other kids. It was like the most giving thing that you could.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so we're very involved with a lot of the autism things that go on. We try to sponsor as many as we can.
Right.
Because like I said, my nephew's autistic, so we get involved, the whole family.
Dr. Steinberg, he's the troop leader.
Oh my God,
yeah.
Mitch Steinberg's in my store all the time.
I just saw his son Mitch. Scott there the other day. I came out here and Scotty was coming in. I saw him.
Scott and Mike used to live on my block.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Great people.
I actually know Scotty for many years. He's like a money guy, financial guy, trader maybe.
Yep. Exactly.
And I used to run a cigar store at a steakhouse many years ago, and him and his guys, they were big. They would hang out there. That's why I met Scotty.
Big financial guys, right?
And then his dad, I met through the scouting, and then I saw the connection. But that's how it is. This world is too small for you to be nasty to anybody or be a mean guy, because you know what?
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, there you are again in front of this guy.
Absolutely. And you get a guy like Mitch Steinberg. His kids are long grown up and out, whatever, and he's bigger in
but he's still involved. He's the chief. He's the big guy.
Yeah,
he's the big guy.
And he makes sure
Scout master. Yeah.
Absolutely. It's all about community. It's all about people.
Yeah.
And it's all about passion for the food. You have to live it. You have a business like mine.
Yeah.
Any small business guy, it has to be your lifeblood, because it has to come first. Because you got to make sure that the business is fine. Because I tell people all the time, you know what? People say, "Oh, you mess with my family, I'm gonna take you out." I'm like, mess with my business.
Yeah,
I'll
same
take
thing,
you out.
right?
You know why? Because without my business, I can't take care of my family.
No family.
And it's very important.
All right. Well, I'm gonna end this on a funny note. Every time I see you, when you found out how'd it work out? Oh, my phone that I used to have was a work phone, so I would call the bagel store and order something, and it would come up as Crest Hollow, and then you would wait for me and be like, "Work at Crest Hollow?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, something wrong?" Like, "Yeah, I'm gonna blame you for everything." I was like, "What do you mean?" He goes, "I got married, Dad." I'm sure you were kidding at the time.
Crest Hollow, 1989.
We're still banging out the weddings, brother.
Let me tell you, and I make fun of my wife all the time, but you know what? I'm very thankful. She supported me through all these years.
You're lucky.
Of crazy stores and crazy hours and always pitched in, and my family too. So
that's
my kids.
I see your son. He's a great. I said he's a great kid.
All good. I'm
Dave,
very fortunate.
Thank you so much for taking some time out of your very busy day, sir.
You.
All right.
You. I love you, and I
I'm
love.
Take these home, all right?
No,
Dominic,
you're taking them home.
No, I'm taking those home. Dominic, no bagels for you.
I'm taking the sesame and the everything.
All the everything? That's my favorite. Oh, I get the egg everything. Anyway.
Thank you, Chef. It's a privilege to be on the show.
I appreciate
you having us.
And as always, you're watching the Go Crying the Walk In podcast. I'm Chef Cholo. You already know. That's it.